Greetings everybody and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the second character for the FF7 Advent Children collaboration, which is Tifa, a very popular character in terms of Final Fantasy lore. So yeah, let's take a look at that limit burst animation, seeing that we're just going to be talking about her kit in this video. The good news is, though, that Tifa is going to have, I think, we're going to leave this video with some positive ratings because Tifa, much like other newer characters, is one of the characters to come along and have the upgraded job board. What I mean by that is, like, older characters, their job boards have a certain amount of stats and everything. And Tifa, or starting with Ashen Mont and the new version of Joom, Spring Joom, Rejuvenation Joom, April Joom, whatever you want to call her, she and Ashen Mont, both of their job boards had higher than usual stats. And that seems to be continuing, basically meaning that those two new characters seem to denote a power strata, a power jump in terms of Wotv history. And Tifa is also one to share that. So before we take a look at her stats, I'd like to show A2 for a second. Now, A2 does have Trust Mastery, and as such, she is a very powerful character. 107 speed, 1400, reincarnated her a bunch, 2300 attack. I think that this character is still one of my favorite characters, especially for Greats. And here's Tifa. 1200 HP, 118 speed, and 1922 attack. Without Trust Runes, that's pretty impressive to start off, that I would like to just initially see. Now, 13 defense and 5 spirit with 45 single target resistance. You can see 45 single target resistance shared here, but A2 is still rocking generally maybe a little bit better stats. And remember, just as we were talking about with Cloud, there is this extra agility boost with the Hermes sandals here, permeating at 7 extra speed. So please, keep that in mind before too much further. All right, so starting off with equipment, similar to the way we started off with Cloud, this piece of equipment comes from a challenge board. It is not farmable, so you basically just do your challenge board, and you'll get this for Tifa. This is basically a Tifa only piece of equipment because it has 13 accuracy, 20 critical, 158 attack. Nothing really that special compared to reliquaries or any better equipment, but most characters will only be getting strike attack up of 15, something that is truly unremarkable. Here, though, Tifa will be getting a slew of extra bonuses, starting with critical damage up of 15, which is, pretty nice. I've forgotten what the bottom one is. I can generally translate it, but I don't want to give you the wrong info. So, critical damage up of 15, AP consumption rate down of 15, and AP is given to the target on critical hit. So normally, critical doesn't feel necessarily that special, but here you're getting a lot of AP benefit while also getting a fairly decent chance of crit. So I think that's just generally enough to say that this is probably fine. If Tifa is going on a team with other strike-based units, you're probably going to want the Reliquary on other units anyway, and just have this with Tifa since it's pretty beneficial to her. And yeah, I just think that's generally pretty good. Tifa also boasts a pretty good amount of accuracy, 68 versus 82. Of course, equipment does matter, but I think it is good here. Taking a look at resistances, 35% for slash, 10% for piercing, and 35% for magic. She does have some definitive weaknesses here, especially against ranged. That alone might be one of the more reasons why she just ends up being more brittle. But again, she does benefit from having a upgraded job board as opposed to a lot of other units. So even though Tifa is kind of, well, she is a 90 cost character, she kind of has a benefit of being closer to a 100 cost character of just a little bit ago with the cost of a 90, since her stats are a little bit inflated because of all of this. I think Tifa's overall stats are pretty nice compared to a lot of units and at a slightly discount cost from a 100. So don't scoff too hard, if you see her. She's maybe a little bit more better than you give credit. All right, one last refresh to see if Wotv Calc is updated. No, well, then I guess I'm just use my secondary source. So, Limit Burst, let's start off with that in terms of talking about what this character can do. After reducing target's chain attack resistance for 3 turns, deal 2 consecutive damages, extra large, reducing critical evasion for 3 turns. We've already talked about why criticals are important for Tifa here, and I think this Limit Burst serves her generally well. It also has pretty good range, and at 43 AP, it's not that high of a cost before the glove takes effect, and then this becomes a fair bit cheaper. Taking a look at her counter ability, I do find this pretty fun. Preemptive counter, where it will hit the opponent twice when being attacked physically. Unfortunately, magic does not trigger this counter, at least the way I've translated it, which means that, great into other physical-based teams, not maybe so much into other magical-based. As for support skills, agility up and defense penetration, always nice for a damaging unit. And as you can see, she has 3 move and 2 jump, so ability is pretty nice. Looking here though, we have accuracy up and critical. I have to say her support skills are less than amazing. They seem pretty standardized, but she is definitely not rocking some of the things that newer characters are. So a little bit disappointing in that sense. However, continuing, subpart of her job does have a HP restore as well as healing certain status effects. I always like this just because it's very monk themed, and Tifa's kind of a brawler / monk, so that works for me. Here we have a critical ability, which just gonna double check because I've forgotten this one. 3 consecutive damages, which are likely to cause critical to the target. Again, critical is beneficial for Tifa, so this is pretty good. And it does give you a nice new chaining ability for ice if you are short on them. Looking at Tifa's main kit, here on the bottom one, we have her, of course, barrier destruction. After destroying a barrier that prevents physical damage, deal damage to the target within range, a large. So simple barrier destruction, but pretty nice. Next step, this ability right here, which is survive once if taking lethal damage and apply an effect that reduces target's strike resistance for 3 turns when an attack hits for 4. So this ability really, I really like this. This is one of the reasons why I figured that this character would be good in supporting other strike-based characters without even really having seen it beforehand. And this just essentially means that, Tifa with her range can potentially hit first with her abilities, reduce strike resistance, allowing other strike units to be more powerful. I think Tifa going forward will probably be one of the units that just cements herself as being, or at least the next good while, as being a permanent fixture on strike-based teams. So great news for people like that, because you're essentially getting her for, basically free. Here, deals damage small and reduces AP, which is definitely a theme for ice-based characters, because we're about to talk next. This wide range ability reduces a certain percentage of single target attack resistance, similar to the new version of Mont, and by that I mean Ashen Mont. In case, for up to 2 targets, significantly reduces reaction rate ability for turns large, probability of AP gradually decreasing from Frostbite. And if you consider that Mont is doing the silence thing, and Tifa here is doing the Frostbite thing, could be a fun combination together for both of them to get together and really wail on mages. Alright, Next up ability, increase elemental chain resistance and blow attack resistance penetration rate of allies within area. So she can increase basically through a second method of getting through strike resistance, which is really good. For 4 turns, creates a barrier that reduces physical damage 4 times and absorbs a portion of HP damage dealt for 4 turns. So really, generally actually like Tifa's kit a lot because it's very synergistic around the one thing that you kind of want Tifa to be doing, which is strike attacks. And I think that's just generally pretty sweet here. I'm not going to go so far as to say that I think that she's broken for any means, but she does have a little bit of an advantage, you know, slightly lower cost, slightly lower cost, while also getting that generational leap on some of the other units just by having higher stats on her job base board, working really well with Ash and Mont, especially with the new Ice and Earth Vision cards, giving synergy here. There's just a bunch of reasons why I actually do think Tifa is quite good. But I think that more than anything, she is going to have earned herself a place on any strike teams. Whatever we get a new strike unit, I think that Tifa will be there for the next little while. And that's pretty good. And who knows, maybe in challenges where the enemy is quite weak to strike-based attacks, this will also be really a good character. But she does essentially what she needs to do to have a nice, good kit that works well with herself and others. I think that's enough. So thanks so much for watching. Test her out later. See ya.